sponsors of Dave's Tacklebox.
Hello, good evening, welcome to Dave's Tacklebox. It is Sunday, the 30th of March, not quite April yet, is it?
Nope.
2014. And on tonight's show, we're going to be doing the usual sort of roundup. But tonight we've got a bit of a main theme running through the vaping stories we're going to be looking at. And there's been a couple of pieces appeared in the last few days about poisoning, particularly of children. So we're going to take a closer look at some of those headlines. I will be joined by my esteemed colleague, Mr. Dawn, of the David Persuasion.
Esteemed, yeah.
And we're going to pick the bones out of it, ain't we, mate?
Exactly right.
But first,
exactly right.
But first, the titles.
Tittles?
And hello again, and hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
How you doing?
I was doing really well until I discovered that Leanna Lawless had been teabagged once.
You know when we say I'm not reading that out on air? Clearly our interpretations are not aligned, shall we say.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't know what it means. I hope.
Well, I know, I had a thought then. And I filed it. What you been up to this weekend? Mother's Day, innit? Happy Mother's Day, all you mothers.
Yeah, you mothers. Happy Mother's Day, mothers. And for those of you of that persuasion that celebrate such things, I hope you have had the most joyous day doing motherly things.
Gee, I know somebody who forgot to call his mother.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I wonder what time she goes to bed.
Do you want me to have a rant for 10 minutes while you give her a bell?
I'll call her now. I sent her a card though. So
You did?
I did.
That's all right.
I shall call her tomorrow at 5 a.m. or something. She's used to it, mate. I lived in her house for ages, you know. She's used to calls in the middle of the bloody night. Right, yes. So we've been picking through some of the stories, haven't we, of the week?
Indeed.
And there was this. There were a couple of sort of headlines and then some counter headlines and stuff about the whole topic of poisoning. You know, now we all know that nicotine is a poison. Yes. That's why we have sort of adult child-proof bottles and things like that. I've just picked this one up. This is one that I haven't tried yet. This has got the little sort of child-proof tops, but it's also shrink-wrapped. Basically, a child isn't getting into that. But
or quite possibly a Dave. I call them Dave-proof tops.
Yeah, and some of them definitely are a pain, aren't they? I've got those bottles that are the big ones I got from Boots that I mix. They're like 250, 300 mil, something like that.
Yeah.
It takes me 20 minutes to get the top off those sometimes. So
it's this bit when they come with weeny tiny teeny things, and you have to push it down and grip at the sides either tight, and if they're Dave proof, they're everybody proof. That said, when Owen, my grandson, gets to 5, I'll have to get him to take the tops off. That's what happened with me daughter.
Yes. But we can't deny the fact that there is a poison in there, and the world that we live in demands that there are certain regulations have to be followed. And to be honest, that's a good thing. Generally speaking, it's a good thing.
Yes.
But what there does seem to be is a lot of confusion about how dangerous this as a product is. And obviously, with strong feelings on both sides of the argument about e-cigs and how safe they are, things get distorted a little bit sometimes in the reporting, don't they?
A little bit?
Well, a lot.
We've got examples tonight that'll prove exactly how uninformed some of these daft buggers are.
Well, yeah, and in fact, let's get that rolling, shall we? I'm going to put up on my screen a tweet that was made by everybody's favourite healthcare professional, Dr. Stanton Glantz. Now, he's a hero of mine, and I know you respect him deeply as well, Dave. In the same way as I respect a proctologist with 6-inch nails with dirt underneath them, yes. This tweet was at 12 minutes past 7 UK time, so that's just under 2 hours ago. And it's a typical sort of Stanton Glantz. It's not so much a statement as a taunt, isn't it? Yeah. So he's desperately unprofessional sometimes, and he hasn't disappointed tonight. And I'll just read the tweet out. It says, "E-cig accidents prompt poison control centre warnings," and he gives a link to a piece that we're going to look at in a minute. And then he asks the question, harm reduction ? So now I take his point. He's saying that this is an American organisation, this Poison Control Centre, and he's saying that they're warning people about nicotine liquid, and therefore we shouldn't be arguing that they prevent harm, they reduce harm. Let's show you the piece that he was actually looking at. And I have to do this. I'm going to stream this live, and at the moment it's saying buffering, but I'm sure it'll be okay. I'll flash it up on the screen and hit the button, and this is the piece he was linking to.
The nicotine is what can be harmful if you overdose on it, but luckily most shops dose it pretty low so that it's equivalent to a cigarette or less.
At High Tech Vapor in Phoenix, Stephanie Thomas says if vaping liquid nicotine is done right,
it's kind of a way to get off of smoking.
This is just another one of those tools to not have a cigarette. So I mean, it's great for me.
At this shop they have 100 flavors.
Like cinnamon roll is a really popular one. We have a bunch of drinks like Mountain Dew.
Banana bread. It smells and tastes just like banana bread.
But Dr. Frank Lavecchio with Banner Good Samaritan Poison and Drug Information Center says the liquid nicotine is available online and easy to get. But parents need to make sure little kids can't get to it.
Just imagine a child takes a whole mouthful of this liquid stuff.
Just
they
imagine.
could potentially die. And because the concentration is so high, just licking the outside of it has a little bit on the outside. That's more than the amount in a cigarette of nicotine. A child could become toxic from that.
In cases he's seen where it didn't kill, it's severely poisoned.
They get nausea, vomiting, etc. And if you get too much of it, you can seize, okay? And you can have a seizure and potentially die. Thank God we've seen no deaths in Arizona.
Now, Dr. Lavecchio tells us a lot of these refillable cartridges have enough nicotine that it's equivalent to 2 packs of cigarettes. That's enough that it can kill a toddler if it's ingested.
Right, so let's get past the first and most obvious feature, if that's the right word, of that little report, and that is the fact that it looked like it was edited by a 5-year-old, a blind and deaf 5-year-old, in the dark. What are you doing? That's really quite off-putting.
I'm licking a bottle of juice to see if I die.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to seize. No, sorry.
So once you overlook the first bit, the journalistic and editorial quality of that fantastic contribution to the debate. There were some little things in there which used to really annoy me, but now I'm looking for them and I'm kind of prepared for them, so they don't wind me up quite so much anymore. Little things like, he says, there have been cases that have caused things like nausea, vomiting, etc.
I've had a dose of that, etc.
Yeah, etc. That's the one we've got to be worried about, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I keep toilet roll in the fridge just in case I get that.
But I mean, in all seriousness, I thought etc. meant and other things, you know, etc. You know, you have nausea, you have vomiting, you have other stuff, which I'm going to group together with the term etc. But in that doctor's case, Levecchio, I think his name was, etc. means and fuck all else.
And nothing else. Yes. Exactly right.
Indeed. So, you know, so there's a language lesson in there for us, you know.
There is.
Other little things like, thank God we haven't had a death in Arizona. Thereby maybe suggesting there have been deaths somewhere else?
There has reportedly been one.
In Israel?
No.
No?
Apparently this happened in the States.
Okay.
And this happened when somebody injected pure nicotine in order to commit suicide.
I've got to be honest, I wasn't counting that.
Well, no, neither would I, because he could just as easily have injected anything, really. Well, quite. Caffeine, even.
Well, don't get me started on that, because we're going to mention that later, aren't we? Caffeine.
We are too.
So you know, I mean, that was proper junk journalism, in my opinion. But we all know that these things, they kind of they do resonate with people, don't they? It's a shame. I'm going to except I've clicked the wrong thing, so bear with me a second. I'm going to just scroll down, make sure that stops, because it's going to play again, because I had to refresh the page, you see. I'm going to flash that page back up again, because there's a bit of text around it as well.
There is.
You know, and it's saying that basically more people, especially kids, are getting sick by spilling or accidentally ingesting the liquid nicotine that electronic cigarettes heat into a vapour. You had a quick read through that, didn't you, Dave?
I did.
And what were your sort of main thoughts? What would...
How long have I got?
As long as you like.
Well, let's start with e-cigarettes, which are booming in popularity but unregulated by the US government, heat a liquid into a vapor that's inhaled. The liquid contains addictive nicotine, extracted from tobacco, as well as chemicals and flavorings such as chocolate and bubble gum. Oh, God.
Yeah, in fairness, I'd ban bubblegum flavour. But, you know.
Apparently, users who say they vape rather than smoke can buy this liquid in gallon-sized containers to refill their devices, many of which resemble conventional cigarettes. In the States, they can buy it in 50-gallon drums as an insecticide. Just thought I'd point that out. General. Christ. The liquid can cause vomiting and seizures when ingested or absorbed through the skin. You see, liquid nicotine can cause vomiting and seizures when ingested or absorbed through the skin, but not e-liquid, because e-liquid is not strong enough to do that. A single teaspoon in highly concentrated form can kill a small child. What they've done there, very clever, 3 truths, but they're not actually related.
Yes.
Three truthful sentences put together to make it seem like the Triffids have landed, and even looking at one will turn you to stone.
Okay, you think that's clever, okay? I think it's an accident, because I saw the edited piece above. I think that's more to do with incompetence than any kind of calculated misinformation. But yes, point taken. Do you want to do the bit about the person who swallowed it?
Let me find, where are we? Oh, yes.
And we shouldn't laugh, but go on.
I'm gonna.
Go on.
Lee Cantrell, a toxicologist who directs the San Diego division of the California Poison Control System, found a 10-fold increase in reported pediatric exposures statewide from January 2013 through February 2014. He said some problems stemmed from people mishandling the small cartridges of liquid nicotine, including one person who mistook it for a pill and swallowed it, and another who mistook it for eye drops. Here's the phrase: should have got the Specsavers. I can quite understand.
Other opticians are available.
I can quite understand somebody mistaking a carto for a suppository, but who the hell swallows a pill the size of a carto?
Well, exactly. You know, and anybody watching this, we're laughing at these poor people's misfortune, and you're right, that's not very professional. But for God's sake, you know, are we gonna? These guys could equally have swallowed bleach.
Well, apparently, if you're gonna swallow, I mean, honestly, if you are going to swallow a carto thinking it's a pill, I'm gonna say there's no hope for you. There really isn't. If you think a cartomizer, an ordinary, I have one here. There you go. If you think that is a pill, seriously, you need help. You do. I think that's made up. I think that is a porky pie looking for somewhere to happen. I mean, honestly, would you? Could you?
Not without some kind of side order of fries or something. But let's face it, if that is really what happens, then that poor bugger's gonna eat something much more dangerous eventually, aren't they?
He's probably frying dog turds up and thinking they're sausages.
Oh dear. Yeah, okay, so I mean, it's a serious subject. It is a serious subject. Nobody wants to see kids injured or harmed. But if we go back to Glance's original question, he says, is this harm reduction? And all we've got in that piece is evidence of some cases of nausea and vomiting. Yes?
I think that's substantially less harmful, chucking your ring up because you've ingested something that's disagreed with you. It's substantially less harmful than COPD or lung cancer or pancreatic cancer or any of the other things that we are led to believe that smoking causes.
So, Professor Glance, the answer to your question is yes, that's a reduction in harm.
Yes. Just as, look, watch this, Stanton. See, that's 2. That's 1. That's a reduction from that. There you go, Stanton.
There you go. Now, to follow...
I'm sorry. I've got no idea what Leanna Lawless has got in her e-cig tonight. But she says there's a stat for super glue. It's very dangerous on loose seats. I'm wondering what she's been partying with.
I don't go to those kind of parties anymore, do you?
Apparently she does.
Righty-ho. Now, as I say, it is a serious thing, and these guys are talking about this poison control centre, and which I guess is some kind of US agency, I guess. And they have reported that there's been an increase in cases of poisoning. We'll ignore the guy who injected himself with nicotine e-liquid, okay? Because I don't. Let's talk about the accidental risks here, yeah. And they are genuinely reporting an increase in the number of cases of kids sort of ingesting e-liquid.
Let's be absolutely accurate about this. Unlike some of our friends in journalism, there has been a rise in the number of enquiries. There has not necessarily been a rise in the number of poisoning incidents or adverse effects.
Yeah, that's a very fair comment and a fair distinction. And one of I have to say, one of the news outlets that I follow more than most others these days, the Huffington Post published a piece, didn't they? This was actually on the 28th, so this is Friday this appeared, and a piece by Dr. Amy Fairchild and Dr. Ronald Byer. Amy Fairchild is the Professor of Socio-Medical Sciences at Columbia University's Mailman School of Public Health, which impressed me as a title. I'm sure it'll impress some others. And let's get that up on the screen. This is the Huffington Post from Friday, and it's basically, the headline is "Liquid Death from E-cigarettes. You've got a long way to go, baby," is what it says.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good title. There's somebody there using an Evaluate lips.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, that's one of those things I use with the 45 milligram in from time to time. About as discreet as an e-cig gets, those. And the basic purpose, the basic point of this piece is to highlight what people have been saying, right? So I'll read the first paragraph off. It says, the latest volley in the furore over electronic cigarettes, products that heat liquid nicotine rather than burn leaf tobacco, is the new alarming data about poisoning. The National Poison Data System found that in 2013 there were 1,351 cases of poisoning from liquid nicotine. This is up 300% from last year, and the figures are predicted to double by next year. From the New York Times to Fox News to Forbes, there is a growing chorus of panic. According to the latter, now we know the real risk, unquote, of e-cigarettes. Not quite. The real issue is exposures compared with what? And the piece goes on to basically put the number of cases into perspective, doesn't it?
Yes.
So I'll just read the next paragraph because it gives you the context of the piece before we have a chat about it. It says, according to the National Poison Data System, analgesics were the most common cause of exposures, with 322,016 in 2012. And cosmetics and personal care products came in second, with 218,269 exposures in 2012. And amongst kids under 5, exposures caused by cosmetics and personal care product exposures is number 1, with 162,280 exposures in 2012. Now, I'm not sure whether that means 162,280 or 1,622,800 because they've got an extra 0 on the end. But either way, it puts the 1,351 cases of nicotine poisoning into perspective, does it not, Dave?
Well, and also, you have to ask yourself the question, given that these were inquiries, these were concerned parents who might have seen little Johnny or little Jenny or whoever standing there with their bottle, their 10ml bottle of 6 milligram juice, because they don't use very heavy stuff over there, and they've just got the top in their hand and, oh my God, it said in the post that these things are gonna kill you. I'd better ring the poison center. She's touched the bottle. She could be dead in 5 minutes. Oh no. And they'd be straight on the phone straight away, get the band through to the doctor. The doctor's gonna take it up and say, now then, Jenny, what did you do? Well, I picked the bottle up and I looked at it. It's a pretty bottle. Then I put it back on Daddy's desk because Mommy said I have not got to touch his e-liquid or he'll scalp my ass for me. And that's probably what's been I'm sorry. I do apologise to any Americans that might be watching.
Oh, dear. Yes, but it's right, though, isn't it? That's most likely the truth, because we know even the antis are telling us the worst that's happened is some cases of nausea and vomiting, yeah?
Yes, exactly
So,
right.
so we know that the vast majority of these 1,351 cases were not serious by any measurement scale, really.
Not at all.
I'd like to say well done to the Huffington Post, and particularly Amy Fairchild, because it needed a bit of perspective, didn't it?
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, it was as good a takedown. And you see, if I did a show last night with Rachel Stein in Canada, on which we were talking about public health people. Not so much me, as David Sweeney was talking about them. And he said, if these people were properly public health people, they would actually look at all the different sides of this and they would give all of the information. But our friend Mr. Glantz apparently just likes to give one side, a bit like that other doctor, what's he called?
I've got to stop you there. It's not just giving one side either. It's giving usually dodgy statistics, crap science. You know, it's not even a legitimate side, is it?
Well, exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right. But I mean, they're coming at it from a moralistic viewpoint, is where they're coming at it from, and really, it's so completely wrong, because they keep saying, "Well, the jury's out." No, it isn't. The jury isn't bloody out. There's been so much testing done. It's obvious. It's as obvious as a 4-inch wart on somebody's nose that these things do not cause harm, that they are much, much, much less harmful than smoked tobacco. And this is from, I've got nothing against people smoking if that's what they want to do. I just don't have a problem with it. But, you know, it's obvious that it's going to be less harmful. Good grief. Honestly, these people want taken outside and publicly humiliated.
They do. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head for me. I think this is the thing that to me undermines any credibility that these guys who take that hardline stance. It really undermines their arguments, because regardless of whether you believe how bad smoking is for you, right? That's not kind of the issue. But these guys are telling you that smoking is Satan, right? It's the number one cause of death. You know, and they give us all these statistics and studies and proof. Some of it we probably used to take as read, some of that proof, but I question them now these days, you know. But on the one hand, they're telling us how bad smoking is for us, and on the other hand, they're trying to discredit and destroy the notion of e-cigs. And therefore, you know, anybody who's interested in public health, who is trying to stop electronic cigarettes being available, has no credibility as far as I'm concerned, after they've been telling us that for the last 50 years.
30 that I can remember for sure.
Exactly. So anyway, we need to take a break, so we'll do that right now, and then we'll come back and we'll look at some more stuff. Back in a minute.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tacklebox. Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tacklebox.
And welcome back. This is part 2, isn't it?
Yes, I can count.
Yeah, part 2. Now,
Stanton Glantz would say that there's been a 100% increase since part 1.
yes, there's been a worrying escalation in the number of parts.
It's gone up by 100%. It's now 200% of what it was in part 1. My God.
Yeah, even though the first part was 25 minutes. And we're only
Well,
29 minutes in now, but yes, you get what I mean. Okay, right, I just wanted to pick out a comment that was made in chat just before the break. We were talking about how one-sided some of this stuff, the public health slant is on this stuff. And Moonlit in chat has made a fantastic comment. He's saying that if some of these news articles were on Wikipedia, they'd be peppered with citation needed and weasel words. And he's absolutely right. I mean, I think that's a fantastic analogy because, the problem is they don't do that in the reports, do they? Most of these so-called journalists don't actually question what these guys are telling them these days. And so I think that's a fantastic observation by Moonlit. And I want to talk now on the subject of how one-sided some of this stuff can be. There is a conference, an e-cigs summit, no less, in Glasgow next week, organised by Ash Scotland, isn't there, Dave?
Oh, yes.
And I've got a copy here of the agenda and the people who'll be speaking during this one-day summit. I'll put it up on the screen. And remember that the general sort of theme here is one-sidedness. And you can tell by the wording of the piece how it's going to go, really, can't you? E-cigarettes, harm reduction and smoking cessation. What are electronic nicotine delivery devices and how do they compare with NRT? What could they bring to smoking cessation? Mm-hmm. Then we've got basically Catriona Rook from the Centre for Population Health Sciences, Nancy Doherty, or Doherty, you're never quite sure how to pronounce that one, are you? The View from Scotland's Cessation Service Managers.
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that she's been talking to Louise Ross.
Yes, and we'll come back to that in a minute because there's Louise is having some results, isn't she?
Yeah.
Vaping, the View from a Drug and Alcohol Service. Then there's some facilitated table discussions, which sounds wonderful.
Does this one have a tablecloth on it, or are we sitting with it bare?
And then there's an overview of those same table discussions.
That one definitely had a tablecloth on it, but this one was covered in salt, sugar and piss. I'm not sitting at that.
And then at 13:25, Professor Jeff Collin, the Professor of Global Health Policy from University of Edinburgh, and this is the sort of thing that fills me with dread when you've got a room full of people like that discussing this subject. The tobacco industry and e-cigarettes, their business strategy, acquisitions, influencing public health and regulation. Then there's a talk about e-cigarette stakeholders and mendacious marketing.
Mendacious yet?
Mendacious, nonetheless.
That's from Marissa de Andrade,
It is.
who is Gerard Hastings' left-hand woman.
Indeed. Followed by the man himself, Gerald Hastings. Talking about the implications of e-cigarette development and marketing for public health policy. And then there's a roundup at the end by the chairman, Donald Henderson, for panel questions and discussions with most of the people you saw named above there taking questions. Now, my first observation when I see that is, where are the vapors represented? There's nobody from the e-cig industry.
Nope.
There's nobody from the tobacco industry either.
Nope.
Talking about e-cigs or tobacco or anything, which is kind of interesting in a smoking cessation debate. There's certainly no vapors represented at all. So that to me looks about as one-sided. What can they possibly conclude by talking about the reports they've already written and passed to each other for a day?
Well, I mean, yes. The likelihood is that unless something happens the night before, there's going to be a lot of people going in there pre-convinced that e-cigs are a very bad thing and that they will renormalise smoking, that millions of children up and down Scotland will be poisoned by licking their bottles.
If only, Dave, if only there was a way in which we could infiltrate this what should we call it? This conference. We'll call it a conference.
Well, it's definitely not a summit, because if it was a summit, it would be properly represented. If only there was a way that, for instance, Sav and I could go up and stay at the hotel where the summit is being held and speak to delegates the night before in the bar and in the restaurant and in the environs and demonstrate to them the proper use of e-cigs and show them why they aren't dangerous. That would probably be a good thing. So that's what we're doing.
Indeed we are. So you're heading up to Glasgow, so make sure you pack an overcoat.
I'm a Geordie, mate.
And you might want to take some food with you. But
No, I like deep fried Mars bars.
Tell us what you're up to there, mate.
Well, we're gonna journey up there and get there at a reasonable hour. We shall be engaging as many delegates as we can possibly find during the course of the evening, and we've already had offers of support and assistance from members of the community who will bring along printed out leaflets and evidence and stuff like that. This is all good, and we're gonna be very polite. We're going to be very engaging. We're going to be very informative. We're going to be very educational, and we are going to speak to them at the proper level. Then the next morning, from around about 8 o'clock, as I understand it, there will be a gathering of vapers stood outside the entrance to the e-cigs summit, and that might not be quite as well behaved, shall we say. Well, it'll be well behaved, but there might be some chanting going on, and there might be some boos and hisses when certain people arrive. I don't know. We shall have to wait. But I shall be taking with me a camera of the video variety, and I will attempt to get some footage. Well, Sav and I between us will, because Savcam is marvellous. She knows exactly where to point it. She's very good. So yes, we'll be up there doing our best to get the message across, because unfortunately our presence is neither required nor wanted nor tolerable in the conference itself. But I would like to think that if we talk to enough of the delegates, they may make a noise and say, actually, we've got some experts here. We'd like to hear from them. And I'm hoping that's going to occur. That goes on till about 4:15, at which point in time Sav and I will jump back into the Merry Batmobile and head back down, hopefully in time to get VT Talk out, where we'll discuss what we have discovered. That's what's going to happen.
So it's going to be a busy day. This is next Wednesday. I didn't actually say, which I believe is the 2nd of April, isn't it? So
yeah, we go up on the 2nd, yeah, and the summit stroke conference stroke smoke job happens on the 3rd.
That's right. That's right. It was the hotel booking that was the 2nd.
Yes.
Yes. Well, yeah, good on you for doing that, mate. And I hope you get a result. And I don't know. I mean, ASH are largely funded by the government, yes?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you and me, in other words.
Yeah.
And the taxes that we pay. Okay?
Yes.
And they're up there talking crap about stuff that they don't really know much about without getting our opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair summary. So I think it's perfectly reasonable for you to turn up there and remind them that you exist.
Which we shall do. Which I am assured goodly numbers will be doing on the morning of Thursday, the 3rd of April, outside the venue. And I'm so looking forward to that. And if it ends up being a day-long vape meet, that's good too, because they've got to come out. Well, there'll be a few of them coming out for a fag, I can guarantee that.
Well, yes, would not shock me at all. Who are the target audience? Who are the delegates in a conference such as this?
People who are in inverted commas public health. One would hope that they have seen the initiative that Louise Ross has started and which Hampshire's looking at and various other areas are looking at, and that they think, hang on a minute, there's probably something in this. I'm hoping they're going to be open-minded, and I'm hoping there'll be enough delegates there staying overnight because they've had to travel from, Inverrochy, Cockyleke or wherever it happens to be, to stay overnight so they're fresh for in the morning. Because getting to Glasgow for 8:30, 9 o'clock is not going to be an easy job, even if you're in Scotland. And before anybody in Scotland complains about the name Inverrochy, Cockyleke, I love Scotland and the Scottish people. That is definitely said with affection. I was brought up on Scotch. I love Glasgow. It's one of my favourite places. I'm just getting this out before the complaints start. I love Scotland, and anything I say about Scotland is always said with a massive.
And to be fair, he didn't apologise to the Americans. He did briefly apologise to the Americans, but not like that.
No.
So I mean, it's it's all about balance. Look, I think this is I think this is a great initiative, and I wish you both the best of luck. Can't wait to see the footage you bring back with you. So.
Well, I'm going to say a big thank you to vaportrails.tv for picking the bill up for this. Thank you.
Well, yes, this is what we try to do. This is what we try to do, and yeah, these are the places where we can make a difference. It's all very well us talking to the viewers that we have on Vapor Trails TV, but we have to get out there, get in the faces. So yes, in turn, I would say thank you to our sponsors for enabling us to do this kind of thing. So.
Yes, without them we couldn't do it. I'm not backtracking, Keith. 1969. Just so you know, I took a lot of stick off the England skate team because I coached the Scotland skate team. That's how much I love Scotland. That'll do.
I went to Scotland last January. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Camera. Scotland's nice.
It's a lovely place.
I wonder if I'll probably need a passport to do that in a couple of years' time, won't I?
Oh, if they vote for independence, I'll not be able to get across the border. They might give me special dispensation.
Do you get duty-free scotch?
I bloody hope so. Well, some of us already do, but, you know.
Right, that's a good place to take us into our second break. So we'll do that, and we'll be back in about a minute and a half.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tacklebox.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tacklebox.
And welcome back. We're back again. Right, yeah, so we're just reading some of the comments there in chat, as we do during the breaks, about throwing cool fire twos down the aisle and shouting everybody hit the deck.
Yes.
See, they do have a use. So I have to say, I noticed you just picked yours up as well. Is that an Aspire you've got on the top of it?
It's yes, it is. It's an Aspire David.
Oh, this is just a regular Aspire, which I'm using this a lot. I'm putting different things on the top of it, like, but it's, I know it's a gimmicky novelty thingy, but it's immensely practical. You can flick the wattage up and down just like that, and it stands well on the desk. Yes,
Doesn't fall. It's like a Weeble, wobbles, but it don't fall down.
Exactly. The only annoying thing about it is the battery capacity.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up to Chris's and try that extension she got for the Coolfire 1 and see if it'll fit the Coolfire 2. I know it'll make it look like a German wartime grenade, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
If I can get an 18650 in it, I'm going to be as happy as un cochon dans la merde. That's French for pig and shit. I just thought, yeah.
Isn't a cochon a piglet?
Well, it's still a pig.
A pig is pork, isn't it? It's le porc.
Le porc.
I don't know. I think. I don't know now. I'll have to look that up. I used to know that. Anyway, shall we do some show? Right, I've got another news article, and now this one is well, I don't know. It's potentially quite a serious headline again, but I don't think we're going to get through this without giggling a bit. This is a piece from the Baltimore Sun in the US of A. And the headline is vaporizing, spelt wrong, marijuana and skittling are latest drug trends for Harvard teens. And it's a piece about Harford County, their Office of Drug, a guy called Joe Ryan from the county's Office of Drug Control Policy. And I'll read it out because there's no way I could do justice by paraphrasing. It says, vaporising marijuana in e-cigarettes and skittling are among the latest drug trends among teens in Harford County, according to Joe Ryan, head of the county's Office of Drug Control Policy. Teens are finding new ways to mask marijuana use, Ryan said, and are taking the tobacco out of electronic cigarettes, also called e-cigarettes, and replacing it with marijuana. Now, just to show that that wasn't lazy journalism, they've got a quote. It says, from the man himself, Joe Ryan, the kids will take the cigarette out of the e-cigarettes and instead put marijuana in it, Ryan said during the Abingdon Community Council meeting on Monday night. They will go to school, take it into the stall, and you will never smell it because of the vaporisation. He said, people who see e-cigarettes lying around their home should check them to ensure their children are not using them to hide marijuana use. Then he goes on to this other thing called skittling. He said, teenagers in Harford County are also hosting farming parties. That's farming with a PH. So farmer is bad, Ryan said. He said teens will throw a bunch of different pills, prescription and synthetic, into a bowl and randomly digest them. This is called skittling or trail mix, Ryan said. Teens are popping pills many times the recommended dose and it looks like candy. Ryan said teens will also put the random pills into brown paper bags and eat them, similar to trail mix. According to Ryan, 55% of kids aged 12 or older get pills from their friends or relatives for free. People are getting these from scary drug dealers out there, Ryan said. Kids have to learn how to set up their refusal skills now. And then it goes blah, 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 blah a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, Dave, you're something of an electronic cigarette expert. And yes, I can see you repairing one now.
No, I'm trying to get the cigarette out of it.
I was just going to say, can you demonstrate to us how you get the tobacco out so you could, hypothetically, of course, put marijuana in?
I think I've worked it out. It must be inside this red bit. because I've had a look in the vapor tank. I couldn't find a cigarette in there. It's not long enough anyway. And I tried this Zorbus thing. That's not big enough. And it must be inside this red thing. So... But I before the show, I rang Gary Dibley and said, "If how can I get the cigarette out from inside this red thing?" And he said, "You couldn't do it without a Dremel and a face mask and a fume cupboard, and you probably wouldn't find one in there anyway." I'm confused.
I tell you, but you have to laugh at this kind of stuff, right? Let me be clear. There are many people out there who don't know what an e-cigarette is. Increasingly fewer, but many people don't know how they work, and I know that because people ask me. You know, they come up to me when they see me using mine and saying, "How does it work?" So I would never mock somebody for not knowing how an e-cigarette works. And there's enough crap in the press and everything to make taking the tobacco out probably sound believable to some people. You know, it's not that far-fetched that somebody could be that ridiculously wrong through no fault of their own. However, if you are one of those people, don't go to the newspapers advising people on what people are doing with them.
He was one man, Joe Ryan, with one desire and one brain cell, and that was switched off.
And, you know, the spin-off comment to that is, if he's the head of the county's Office of Drug Control Policy, which is a very prestigious sounding title again. How can he not know this crap? How can you go to the local paper, or any paper for that matter? How can you speak to anybody and comment on what people are doing when you are clearly clueless as to what an electronic cigarette is?
not only clueless, but patently needs new glasses, because I'm fairly sure that what he thinks are coloured pills in the bowl are key rings.
Well, well, and then there's the skittling. Okay, now I've never come across that term before, but you know, I mean, like if this is true, if kids are randomly taking tablets and they don't know what they are and putting them in the bowl and eating mixes of them, okay, can I suggest to you, Mr. Ryan, that the electronic cigarette use, whether it's got the tobacco or the marijuana in it, are the least of these kids' worries?
Apparently so. And if Joe's tuning in, just so he knows, this is an e-cig. This is a vapor tank, which is also an e-cig. Just again, this is a vapor tank, which is also an e-cig, and this is an e-cig. Neither one of them contain cigarettes. Even this, which is also an e-cig. It looks as though you could get a packet of 10 in there. You can't. Asshat. Dickwad. Thickwad. That's what he is, a thickwad.
It just beggars belief, doesn't it? You know, but yeah, I mean, for God's sake, if you're going to talk to the press, just I don't know, one episode of Vapor Trails TV, 5 minutes spent on any forum, and he would not have made such a fucking stupid comment.
I tell you what, if somebody's just said it in chat and it's right enough, if the kids were going to spend donkey's ages trying to sort out, and there is a way of using marijuana in a dry herb vaporizer, but you can also make a tincture to use it in an e-cig. It takes a month to make a tincture. They'll chew the bud before they start making tinctures. These people are off their trolleys, they really are. They're making stuff up to suit their own agenda, and it does boil my urinary tract.
At least people like Glantz, you know, put some effort into fabricating statistics.
Yeah.
you know, at least with some creativity, and you know, and you know, they put some effort into the lies to support the lies. But this guy's just asshat's right, isn't it? He's just clueless.
Well, I've just been told by Very Boring I should use Bobag or Dauber to get practicing for Scotland. Chuk or numpty, that's what he is. A complete dose of dog turd in a sandwich.
Max Strum reckons that guy's a twunt.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree.
I think I would definitely agree.
I think we've probably got just time to slaughter this poor doctor from wallowa.com.
Wallowa?
Shall we do the we'll slaughter the doctor, and then we'll quickly touch on the caffeine story as well. I think we probably just about got time. Let me flash this up. This is the community website of the Wallowa County Chieftain Enterprise, Oregon. And it is a very, very short piece, thankfully. The headline is, "Are e-cigarettes really safer than cigarettes? Doctors say no." Many of the health effects of electronic cigarettes are still uncertain, but local physicians say they are not any safer than traditional cigarettes. Dr. Rebecca Shane from the ASAT. No, it doesn't really say it says Asante. But I say ASAT Rogue Regional says many smokers believe e-cigarettes can be a tool to quit smoking. She says that's not true because they still contain nicotine. It's just another product that's been marketed to keep you hooked in. In many respects, it's a newer idea. It's a new option, a reinvention of the wheel. I wouldn't use my e-cig as a wheel, would you? No. But Shane also says younger smokers who start smoking with e-cigarettes are more likely to choose smoking as a long-term habit.
Fair enough. I get the impression she's been reading the output from the University of California in San Francisco.
There is absolutely bugger all attempt to substantiate anything said in that article.
The thing is, you can get to it on Discuss.
Can you?
Yeah. You can join in the discussion.
You can. There are some rules. There are some rules if you want to go to the discussion. Let me put that up. This is the wallower.com. And we can pop a link up somewhere. Do you know what? I can pop it in chat now if anybody fancies a go.
I'm on it.
Beat you to it. Oh, it's a race. It's a race. I got there first. Oh, you got there first.
Beat.
Yeah, okay. There are some rules to the posting, and please do observe them. Keep it clean. Don't threaten. Be truthful. Be nice. Be proactive. And share with us. Okay, that doesn't sound like a rule to me, but I think that's fair enough. Because I genuinely see, when I see doctors making statements like that, I now view them as an opportunity to enlighten.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no substance to that piece whatsoever. She's read some of Glance's output and said, "Oh yeah, kids who try those end up smokers." You know, we all know that's crap. Okay, the actual studies and statistics that we do have say it's crap, but these guys don't have the message. You know, so I would have thought it was legitimate to ask her. You know, would she recommend people carry on smoking? That's the one that normally gets them engaged, isn't it, when you ask that question? And that's all that needs to be said on that one. I'm going to go to one more piece because there's been a lot of discussion, I think, that I've seen recently about how bad the TPD in Europe is actually going to be for vapors, because we've discussed what is going to be banned, what might be banned, what will be left once the TPD comes into effect. And a lot of people have you know, taken the view, they've got their action plan sorted, stocking up on nicotine, you know, and a lot of politicians, specifically Lib Dem politicians, MEPs from the Northwest, called Chris Davies, right? His view, basically, and he's not alone, I'm singling Chris out, he's not alone. I think once the TPD played out the way it did, a lot of people said, "Hey, we got you a better deal than you were going to get." Okay, and I think a lot of people I have some sympathy with that argument. Okay, we were going to have medregs, but now we're allowed up to 20 milligram and stuff like that. Okay, the detail is not good enough, but you know there was something there. But one of the reasons that certainly and I know Dave, because I know your sort of libertarian outlook on life, but certainly one of the things that made me object to the TPD most is that I really do see this as, we had a discussion before, didn't we, about the thin end of the wedge. Mm-hmm. If they can take away something like this, what's next? And we've watched over the last 6 months or so as people have had a go at sugar.
Yes.
And then you very kindly sent me this link earlier. And this is a good sort of closing thought for the evening, I think, right? They came after the nicotine, they're going after the sugar, right? They're after the coffee. Here's a piece called "Wake Up and Smell the Caffeine. It's a Powerful Drug." Okay? And they've got a wonderfully staged sort of thing there. It's a bunch of coffee beans in a medicine container. The general theme of this is that caffeine is a drug, treat it as such. Does any of this sound familiar? Most of the caffeine in soft drinks comes from factories in China. Does that ring any bells, Dave?
Oh no. No.
They're talking about supercharged sun-kissed soda.
Where can I get some?
They're advising us to drink in moderation.
I do, never more than 20 cups a day.
Exactly.
Other than the days I have 30.
But you know, we joked. We've used caffeine as an example of a nicotine type drug, haven't we? From the beginning, We've said, hey, nicotine should be viewed and treated and regulated, therefore, in the same way as caffeine is. If there's advice to be given, give the advice. But here we see people actually going the other way and they're trying to treat caffeine like nicotine.
Yes. I want to just pick something up in chat if I can, Dave.
Please do, yeah.
Max Drummer said, how are they going to police the actual nicotine milligram content for people who make their own juice? And just to answer that, you won't be able to buy anything stronger than 20 milligrams, so it's going to be under no matter what. Sorry to interrupt on that one. I just wanted to answer that.
No, I think that's a very valid point, actually, because I've heard a few people ask the same thing. You know, there is no 54 or even 36 or even 24 milligram base nicotine e-liquid when the TPD comes in. Not on the legal market. You know, you may or may not be able to source this from China. I've even heard of people looking at ways they can make their own, which I would not recommend. But I think it's a point that some people are missing. The home mixing market, unless you vape something like lower than about 14 milligrams and use very strong concentrates, I'd say the DIY market is gone, and the people that sell you the DIY stuff are gone. You know, which is sad because, as you know, I like to mix my own. I like DY4, but I like it stronger than the bought stuff. So I mix my own, and once the bottles I've got have gone, then I'm in the same position as everybody else. Black market.
Yes. Well, grey.
Grey market.
Yes. Oh, right.
We've run over.
I'm just going to pull this out. Apparently, the Labour Party, the Labour Socialist Health, have come out and said that they are in favour of e-cigs. And apparently, this is from Lorien Seeds, said someone recommended they talk to DD and Lorien, so she only saw it a bit ago, no response yet. I'll have to have a look into that after the show.
That sounds very encouraging, because let's face it, the left side of the British political system have been the biggest thorn in our side so far. That would be fantastic if we can get some support from the left. That would be brilliant.
Yes. And Dan McD, article in USA Today, parents worried about kids smoking coffee. If you're worried about kids smoking, tune in to the show I did last night. I'll put a link into chat because David Sweeney mentioned about smoking coffee. This is interesting as this one, and it's a brilliant argument to use with the public health people. I will see if I can find that and clatter that in. Right,
and while you're doing that, I'm going to roll the credits because we've overrun quite significantly, actually.
We'll get wrong.
Dave, can I say thank you very, very much for joining me again this evening?
It's never a problem, never a chore, and always a pleasure, Dave, as you know.
I've enjoyed the show again tonight. I like this quick fire stuff. I'm exhausted, like. Thank you ever so much for watching. From us, it's bye-bye, and see you next week. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tacklebox.